Hey, my ladybugs and my boo bugs. It's your favorite love bug. So, it's first thing in the morning, and it's Sunday. And I only, I'm only going to be doing these videos when I feel necessary. Like, when I feel it, is when I'm going to do it. Okay? Alright, so I had woke up for some reason with on my mind, like, my thoughts was going down memory lane, showing me the difference from, like, living with my mom and living with my dad, and how, their relationship was as far as co-parenting me. So we're going to talk about that. So I remember being a little girl and living with my mom. But like I said before in a video, I probably did or didn't post it, but okay, so living with my mom, we lived with my grandmother, and my grandmother owned a house up in Mr. Village. So living with my grandmother, it was just me, my mom, my grandmother, my aunt, and my uncle. It was fun living with my grandmother. I was my mother only child at the time. I was my grandmother only grandchild at the time. And it was just fun. It was amazing. Had a ball being with my mom and my grandmother. Like, I remember being spoiled like crazy. Anything that I wanted, had, anything I needed, it was had. Like, I had things that I didn't even thought to want. I remember it used to be the guy, well, girl now, Booty. I believe her name now is Keisha. They used to do my hair when I was little. Like, they had my hair lit. Anybody that know like, Booty ain't play. You got your hair done for Booty, you was gonna be lit, and them braids was gonna be tight, literally. But I always hair was done. My grandmother used to always get me these little princess dresses, like, like off of Snow White and stuff like that and all that. I grew up having that stuff. Like, I grew up having all that stuff, like the dresses and the shoes and stuff like that. And I ain't talking about them little dresses like you go off of Amazon now and they got the dresses in the box type kit. No, I had those dresses with the fluff and all that. Like, I really had those kind of dresses. And I remember, I don't remember the young lady name, but it was the girl that lived up the street from me. And her grandparents was taking care of her during the time. My grandmom and her granddad, they was taking care of her. And I would just go to her house. And she had a room in our house where there was just nothing of the dresses or whatever. You get what I'm saying? And we would just go up there. I would just go up there and we would just dress up and stuff like that. So, like, I always had a ball. Like, my mother, anybody that know my mother, she was, a get up and go. We gone. We had the fun. We, out. You get what I'm saying? So she used to always have me at, like, little events, little parties and stuff like that. Then we was living up there at the village or whatever. So it was just like the Rex or whatever. We was always at the Rex. Everybody knew Yo-Yo or Patty, whatever. So we used to have a ball. We used to have a ball. Like, my mother had a lot of friends. All her friends had sons. I was the only girl. So I was, like, spoiled, but at the same time around all these boys and had to, toughen up immediately, okay? Then, so that was, like, that childhood right there was, like, everything. You get what I'm saying? Like, everything. Like, like, everything to me, okay? Now, her co-parenting with my dad was, like, it was different or whatever, because my mother was the type that she, like, to her friends, like, she probably would talk, or speak her mind about her kids' dad or whatever, but to her kids, she will not tell us about our father. Like, she will not talk down about him. And my mother, like, growing up, she never told me about my father. You get what I'm saying? Like, If there was something that I wanted and she would tell me no, like I wasn't used to hearing no all the time. So if there was like a no, or and I'm like, what? Oh, I'm gonna call my father, and she'd be like, oh, you gonna call your father? Oh, all right, go ahead. Go ahead, just call him, huh? She'll pass me the phone, like dial the number for me and all, and give me the phone. But she would not ever tell me, like, girl, your father ain't gonna do this, that, and the third, da 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 da. That wasn't something that my mother, indulged in. So boom, fast forward to going to go stay with my dad, because when I was little, I was, when my grandmother had the house up in Emerson Village, my dad lived with his mom over east down Douglas. So I was bouncing. You get what I'm saying? I always bounce. So when I was young, around that time, my dad was always in and out of jail, like constantly in and out of jail. My granddad, he was always in prison as well. So, like I seen my dad's side of the family and stuff like that. But, as far as my dad, he was always in jail, So, boom, when he come home from jail, his mother, she down Douglas. We going, either my mother and them take me down there, or he'll come and grab me. And I'm going down Douglas, spending time with them. During that time is my dad, his mom, her husband, my uncle, and their daughter, okay? Boom. So we'll go over there and we'll spend, I go over there and I spend time with them. I remember times, it was times I would just stand there for a while. Like, I'd be there for like a week or, stuff like that. And I remember times like being down there, and out of nowhere, my father would go outside and, oh, my grandmother, somebody got to come and pick me up, or they got to find me a way to get home because, oh, my dad is locked up. He just got locked up and I can't stay there. Like, he was just always like in and out of jail. So then down Douglas, like going down there to his, down in his mom's house, like, even like when he did, like at one point in time, it was a little stretch where he would stay home. And during that little stretch where he would stay home, like he would take me outside with him. When I mean, my father was one fighting mother lover, okay? Oh my gosh, just every time I turned around, he was fighting. I remember being a little girl and him fighting just left and right, left and right. I remember my father always having a gun. I remember my father going to go play card games, and they used to drink the big old, the bottles of, I think it was 211. I just remember it was a glass bottle of like steel. And they used to, it had steel, it had the gold, like a burgundy-ish right there, and like the gold right, and it would say steel. I remember that. And they would just always here take me to the card games, and they playing cards, and the card games would turn into Russian roulette. Like, it was just dumb. You get what I'm saying? It was just so dumb. Him and my cousins, they would always get together. Now, I love when they was together, because they would get together, they would, they would talk and whatever, but they always would rap. Like, had that little poetry, little session going, and I used to love that for them. My cousin, E, he was always able to switch his voice up, always do like different characters' voices and stuff like that while he rapping, and he was just so like, it was different. Their freestyles and their flow, the way they like, make beats with their mouth and take turns rapping, and when once one stopped, the other one chimed in, like, and they knew when to go. They knew like who gonna do what beat, and they like, and it was just them just freestyling, just going like they was just. They practiced certain stuff and did it. Like, sometimes I've seen them, write stuff down, practice stuff, and come back with their stuff together. But other than that, it was majority of the time, it was just them freestyling or whatever. But, they always did stuff like that or whatever. So being down there, like in Douglas, it was okay. We had fun. My grandmother, husband, he always found a way for us to have fun. That was one thing about him. He was going to make sure we had fun. Some way, somehow, he was the type of person to get his dad, and they would come with the cars, and we gone, and we going somewhere, or they, trying to grill out or something, or doing something. Like, my grandmother husband, he was always ready to have fun. During that time, my grandmother was too, always ready to have fun as well. Then her lifestyle changed. My grandmother got into church. She was always going to this church right down there at Douglas. Then they end up in a house or whatever up on Milton and stuff. So they moved from there to Milton or whatever. But they move up there on Milton or whatever, 111 North Milton. Okay, it was a nice house when they first got it. It was a nice house, white door, white screen door, nice little vestibule. You walk through, you got the dining room, the open dining room that's open to your living room. They had a nice, nice little kitchen, backyard, basement, 3 bedrooms. Excuse me. My uncle, he had a hard bedroom, walk-in closet and all that. Oh, excuse me, I keep waking up. And his bedroom connected to the bathroom and stuff like that. Oh, excuse me, these hiccups. They had a nice little house. Now, growing up, like being at my dad's house, like when they moved up on Milton, it was fun. We used to rip and run throughout that house and stuff like that and have a goddamn ball. We used to have a ball. As little kids in the beginning, we used to go outside in the backyard and stuff like that. They never let us out front. That wasn't, they ain't play that. Ain't no out front. We got a backyard, and they did whatever they can to make sure, we enjoyed being in that house, and that was it, or that backyard. Like, my uncle, he was a boy, so they end up getting, a basketball goal for him and his friends so they can have a good time. Me and my aunt, we just went with the flow. During that time, you didn't really, like nowadays how kids is, you need stuff to have fun. During that time, we didn't need nothing to go outside and have fun. We just went outside and had fun. Yeah, I remember times we'd go in the backyard and swing off the back porch. Shoot, we swung off the back porch. I fell and scraped my skin. And I told them, I said, come on, y'all, help me find my skin. And we looking down at the ground trying to find my skin that scraped off. I said, yeah, because I'm just trying to see if it fits back right, if that's mine and all. We found dumb stuff like that to be fun, okay? But going outside, that wasn't really, a thing. Going outside in the neighborhood with the other kids. If the kids in the neighborhood wasn't coming around to that backyard, we was just on our own, It wasn't no going outside and having fun with, doing all that. It was easy for my uncle because he was a boy, and he had the basketball goals in his in the backyard. So all the other boys, they had their dads and, or whoever, but none of them had basketball goals. They ain't had that, and my uncle had 2 of them, one on both ends, so they can be able to go back and up down that Lloyd's backyard, But they made it happen. Just living, when I ended up moving with my dad, I noticed how sheltered I was, very well sheltered. You couldn't even look out the freaking blinds to the front window to look out front. That was not something we was able to do. And that just, you couldn't do that. You go back, then it was I'm able to go out back, but if my uncle got homeboys in the backyard, I can't go out back. You get what I'm saying? Now I'm in a house by myself. Well, if I can go out back, I can only go out back and sit on the step. But the camera, don't look at a little boy. Or don't look too hard. Or don't say nothing to a little boy. Don't let a boy say nothing to you. So now it's back in the house. Or now you too grown and I'm being hot in my tail and I'm a freak like my mother and, go in the house and just go read a book and stuff like that. It was weird. And even with, even being there, reading and writing, I loved it because reading for me was like vacation. It was like me traveling, going to another world, okay? And writing was like therapy to me. So I will write, and I will write to, try to write other, write books or whatever. Whatever I, write for as my thoughts and stuff, how I felt or had a little diary. I learned immediately not to do that. I learned immediately. Living with my dad, eventually the books got taken from me. I wasn't allowed to read books. There was a computer in the house, but during the time, you know, some big bad computers ain't really too much of a YouTube and Google and all that. You're not doing all that. You got the little games that come on the computer, and you got the little notes section. So if you want to write, you can write, and that's what I used to do. I started off with writing, you know, typing on the computer, and then I was banned from that from my dad because he like, well, you can't even spell it. You wanna write, and he would just used to like bash me about what like my spelling, cause I would write like, and I would say think, but I would put think, and instead of correcting me and letting me know where I'm wrong at and helping me understand the difference, he would just bash me. You dumb as fuck. You stupid shit. But hey, you want to do this, that, and third. Da, da, da. And I used to be so hurt looking at him like, in my head, just help me. Then he used to talk about how I just can't spell. Anybody all my life, I would say, anybody that know me all my life, that they will tell you they heard me say like, I can't spell, but I will try, right? That comes from being young and not knowing how to spell certain words, or, you know, misusing the words. And I wasn't taught the right way to use them or the right way to spell them. I was bashed for not using them correctly or bashed for not spelling them correctly. And then after you bash me, you not once sit and be like, this is how you do it, or that, this, and that, you dumb motherfucker. Like, it's so crazy. I can hear the sound in my head. Like, it's so crazy because, oh my gosh, just we having this conversation, like, I can hear his footsteps coming through the house. Like, that house is like horror to me. You just hear, he always complained about everybody feet, how everybody walks so hard in the house, and be like, oh, my grandmother, she got fat feet, but she walks so soft. But when he come, you can hear the doom, 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 doom. Like, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it. How you in the basement and I hear you coming? And I'm upstairs. Come on now. Like, living with him was like, it was different, you know. It wasn't, you was allowed to socialize, but to a certain extent, you know, like compared to living with my mom, life was with freedom. Ain't like I was able to go outside all the time and do what I wanted all the time and get what I wanted all the time. But, you know, it was fun. It was freedom. I was able to talk. I was able to be myself. You know, there was times where I was wrong and I was being checked on it. And I can honestly say during them times when I was young, 10 times out of 10, she wasn't checking me on it. Sometimes she felt that it was cute, or not even just cute. She was just allowing me to express myself. But she did not know at that time certain ways and it was wrong. You get what I'm saying? But okay, boom. Living with my dad, you wasn't allowed to express yourself. Like, man, that man used to tell me to bite my tongue until I taste blood, because I'm not allowed to express myself or my feelings, or if I do, they're being used against me. You get what I'm saying? Like, the man was crazy. The man was crazy, and that's not even a half of it. That's not even a half of it. Like, it's not. Like, I never in my life seen anybody dead, parent, talk to them like that and treat them like that. Like, ever. Like, not even that. Like I was saying from the beginning, like, my mom, she never talked bad about my father. She just be like, She always just used to make faces and the little sound effect. Like, yeah, whatever. That's, you know, that's it. But talking down about him and bad about him, she never did. She never did. Like, my dad used to downplay my mother so bad. Like, she a hoe, she a slut, like, F her, this, that, and the third, or whatever. And it was so crazy because I used to, like, put it like this. I found out how my parents separated, the truth behind how my parents separated on the strength of my dad bashing my mother so much. If my dad never talked down on my mother, I would have never knew why they separated. I would never knew. Because I was that child always wanting my parents together. Like, I wanted my parents together so bad. Like, I wanted them together so bad to the point, like, I just didn't like people. Like, when my dad brought other girls around, like, when being in Douglas, I remember times staying the night with my dad, and we in Douglas, and they in this little ass bedroom, because my grandmother had a 2-bedroom apartment in Douglas, and we would be sleeping in this little ass bedroom on this, like, little ass twin mattress, and it would be, like, me, him, and he'd be dealing with a girl like Shawanda or Tawanda, something like that, and she had a daughter. Okay, and we'd be, all be together and stuff like that, and sleeping on that bed. I ain't like that. Because why the fuck is we squeezing on this bed? Or the little girl will be sleeping with her ass in the air, so she's taking up a lot of space, but I'm made to go to the bottom of the bed. Why the fuck am I sleeping in your feet? Why her and why she ain't stick her tail down there? Why me? I never understood that. And then when I would say something to my dad, he always had a problem about what I said and how I felt. Like, boom, it would just be me and him being there. We in there chilling. I'd be upstairs with my dad. I ain't care to be downstairs with my grandmother and her husband. I couldn't stand watching my grandmother beat her husband up. I never liked that as a little girl in Douglas, watching my grandmother beat her husband up. I'll never forget one time the household got so messy. It was a real big argument and dispute. My grandmother, she was always wrong. Like, she was always controlling. So if her husband ain't do what she said or how she said it, it was like she would wild out. I remember this one time about the daggone milk being busted open and exploded down in Douglas, and it was a big thing. And it's crazy because that happened again up on Milton too, with the milk being busted all over the floor and exploding, and it been a fighter behind that. Like, when I was living with my mother and my grandmother, I ain't see none of that. Only arguments and fights I seen was when it was an outside fight and argument. Like, they didn't fight in the household. Like, at all. Like, at all. My grandmother, she ain't play that. Joe, she ain't play that. Her little husband, called himself thought the grass was greener on the other side. Joe ain't put her hands on him. She ain't fuss with him about it. You sure? Oh, you're dismissed. Joe ain't have that around West, though. Like, and she ain't have that around West, though. Like, he came around that fussing and all that. Joe ain't play that. She put up boundaries and all that. She ain't play that. She ain't allow us to see that. And I'm her grandchild. I never heard my aunt, uncle, or my mother say my grandmother allowed him to sit around and fuss or disrespect her, or or after he decided to decided that there was better somewhere else to him, that she allowed him to come back. No, you could be there for your kids, but she ain't allow him to come back and be disrespectful to the point that they was getting into fights and stuff. Joe ain't play that. But in my dad's household, it was different. It was different. It was arguments. We had church sessions, but they was back drinking their 40s and stuff when, after card games going on after, listening to my dad sit around talk about how my mother a hoe and how she a slut and how she used him for his money and all that. I used to be so confused, like what? Especially when he moved to Milton, and he used to talk to me about that, and he used to say to my stepmother, and be like, yeah, I was just waiting till she get a certain age and get old enough to talk to her about it, cause I didn't want her to think that her dad was the bad guy and all that. Yeah, it's important for children not to grow up in households like that. It's so important. That's a hectic household. It's like the child is not being taught no kind of boundaries. Where's the respect when people start disrespecting each other and allowing the people around them to disrespect them? Like, seriously. Because as much as my grandmother used to disrespect her husband and stuff like that, it was like when he's human. You can't hear somebody think they're not going to retaliate. He's human. He is human. And after, my dad would step in and intervene and start putting his hands on him and beating him up. And I always felt and thought that was so wrong, because why you in their marriage? Why you in their business? Like, and I've always been nosy because I just sit and watch. So I always been nosy and very observant. Very. But I just never liked that. Like, that's not okay. That's not okay at all. Like, But for me, that was the difference from growing up, in my younger, like really, really younger, because I was around those times. My brother wasn't even born yet. My brother on my mom's side, he wasn't born yet. And I believe my mother had him, I was like 9 or 10. So, yeah, they let you know how young I was. I had to be like 7 and younger. 7 and younger. Yep, because my mother, she was with my little brother dad for a while before. Yep, so I was like 7 or 8. And my mother had my little brother I was like 7. Yeah, because my mother had my little brother like 9 or 10. But yeah, like that's the difference of growing up in those two households. Like, yeah, one was beautiful for me, and the other one was like a little hectic and all this other stuff. You may question and be like, why is this important? Why are we talking about this? It may not be important to you, but it's important. It's very well important. That's why I'm talking about it. And as long as you continue to stay here, right here with me, and you allow me to just listen to me and this ADHD, I'm letting it out. It's just I got ADHD, so it probably be a little crazy. Probably won't make sense. But when you continue to watch and pay attention and grow with me, you'll be like, oh, I remember something from back then. It's going to connect. It just probably don't make sense right now, but I promise you, it's going to make sense later on. Because this is my childhood. Remind you, I said we're healing and grieving out loud and in public. I mean, in private, because I already did it in private, still doing it in private. But I'm doing what I feel is necessary and important out loud. Because, no, I'm not a professional, but I am experienced. Because I've been through this and I lived this. And I have been fighting these bullshits for 24 years, mentally. And I had been wondering why is this happening? Why is this going on? Why is this occurring? Why am I thinking like this? Why am I feeling like this? And I'm the type of person that I'm very spiritual. I listen to how I feel. I was taught not to do that as a child. I'm going to get to that later. I listen to how I feel. And it's a reason, why I be feeling like that, why I think like that, why I pay attention to certain things and catch on to things and stuff. There's a reason, because, and when I paid attention and I did my own research and get to looking and, basically it's like research because I did it. It was research for me. It is research for me. I've learned that this is generational trauma that had became a curse that started from childhood trauma from others, generations before me, that got down to my generation. And I noticed it was me going to the next generation. I say, oh, wait a fucking minute. And before my mother passed, it's like 6 years ago, I mentioned to my mother, me and my mother wasn't all on good terms. She was homeless during that time. I was homeless during that time. We was not on good terms. And I'll get to, those because they're part of my life, But I was talking to her because I was confused about a lot. Like, what's going on? Why is this going on? This, that, and third. And she was, she started bringing light to me of things that was going on, that happened before and all that. And I'm like, oh, so this was stuff that me and her was looking into before her passing. And I'm going to keep on. And one thing I know on my dad's side of the family, nobody want to talk. But I paid attention enough that I'm going to speak. So that's why I said with this, it's just me. I'm biting the forbidden fruit. I'm speaking up about childhood trauma and generational curses that goes on in the black community, in the black family, but it's forbidden for us to talk about. But I don't care, y'all. Everybody always looked at me like the black sheep, like, oh, she just so angry and all this other stuff, and I'm so mean and I'm so crazy. So why not bite the forbidden fruit and show y'all not making excuses, but to get y'all to understand why I was like that all my life. And I didn't understand. But it took for me to be, I was 30 and I couldn't take it no more. That's when I started doing the work, the research. I'm 33 and it's like now God put it on my heart, 2024, to speak out. I was too scared. Now I'm doing it while being scared. Hold your judgment. You don't got to save them. You don't got to. I'm here to bring awareness to, I'm so tired, y'all, but I'm about to get up because I'm hungry. I'm here to bring awareness to the bull stuff in the black community and the black family. It's time to speak out. It's time to end this. It's time to shut it down. And, let's go. Because I got a lot more to say. I love you all. This is to all my ladybugs and my Buddha bugs. This is your favorite love bug. Dropping love and dropping a little ink in this video. There's love and ink in here. Not here to hurt anyone, but to bring awareness to trauma in the black community. I love you. See you in the next one.